What was one of your worst cases?
A lot. Most of the cases I work with is red zone, right? So those dogs that already bit a dog, bit a human, or people are in a lawsuit. So all those cases are, very successful because we keep them alive and people understand what not to do. For the rest of my life, I love this case because it was the most difficult case, right? You learn to love the most difficult challenge. Brunello. Brunello is a boxer who was deaf, blind, and had a neurological problem, extremely aggressive. So how do you influence somebody who can't hear you, who can't see you? But we were able to help Brunello, and that it was very difficult.
Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan didn't end because it ran out of stories. The show crashed into a storm of controversy, exhausting lawsuits, and painful personal struggles that kept getting harder to ignore. For nearly a decade, Cesar Millan became a huge TV star by working with aggressive dogs that many owners had already given up on. But behind the success, criticism of his training methods kept growing. Animal welfare groups raised concerns, legal fights piled up, and personal problems pushed him to the edge. So what really brought the Dog Whisperer to an end after 9 seasons? And how did the man known for teaching calm and control watch his own life spin into chaos? Cesar Millan arrived from Culiacan, Mexico at 21 with just $100 from his father and a dream that sounded almost impossible.
That I became known after 3 years. Los Angeles used to call me the Mexican guy who can walk a bag of dogs. That was my nickname, that was my title. And one of my challenges was English. I didn't speak English when I came to America. No, I jumped the border, it was illegal. There was a lot of obstacles along the way for me. English.
Inspired by shows like Lassie and Rin Tin Tin, he was determined to become the world's best dog trainer. Growing up around dogs on his grandfather's farm, he noticed early that animals reacted to him in a unique way. He didn't chase dogs or yell at them. Instead, he stayed calm and moved with confidence, letting the dog realize there was no danger. Time after time, the dogs responded in ways that caught people's attention. Veterinary school seemed like the obvious route, but his family couldn't afford it. So he set his sights on Hollywood, believing the best way to learn was by working alongside top dog trainers and starting from the ground up. On December 23, 1990, he told his mother he was leaving and boarded a bus to the border. Years later on Red Table Talk, he described the dangers around the crossing, saying, "They can sell you. They can kill you for organs. That is more likely than jumping it." He made it to California with almost no English, no connections, and very little money. After struggling with homelessness in San Diego, he found work around dogs and kept pushing forward. Eventually, he moved to Los Angeles, grooming and walking dogs in Inglewood. His results started turning heads, and after the Los Angeles Times featured his growing business, wealthy dog owners began seeking him out. The buzz was real, and his reputation kept growing fast. Cesar wasn't following a formal training system. He relied on the natural instincts he had developed growing up around dogs in Culiacan, and people quickly noticed the results. His connection with Jada Pinkett Smith happened by chance while he was working with a dog linked to someone she knew. After watching him in action, she became a strong supporter and gave him advice that changed everything. If he wanted a future on television, he needed to master English, not just enough to get by, but enough to connect with a huge audience. She sent a tutor to help him, and he went all in. He practiced constantly, surrounded himself with English speakers, and worked until the language felt natural. Years later, he said, "Because of Jada, I speak English." In 2009, 18 years after arriving with just $100, he became a U.S. citizen. Around that same period, a production company noticed his work with celebrity dogs in Los Angeles and saw major TV potential. On September 13, 2004, Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan debuted on National Geographic Channel, and almost nobody paid attention. The show had little promotion, wasn't airing in a major time slot, and began as a simple 30-minute program. But that didn't stop it. Viewers started spreading the word, and the show's popularity exploded. By season 2, it expanded to an hour and moved into prime time. A few years later, millions were tuning in every week, with audiences in more than 80 countries watching Cesar work with troubled dogs and worried owners. But as the fan base grew, so did criticism. Experts in animal behavior began questioning what they were seeing on screen. Cesar's approach centered on what he called calm, assertive energy. He believed dogs functioned best when they viewed a human as a confident leader. In his view, many behavior problems developed when that leadership was missing, causing dogs to become anxious, reactive, or difficult to manage. The formula made for compelling television. Watching a dog go from chaos to calm in a single session kept viewers hooked and helped turn the show into a global phenomenon. To many viewers, it looked like magic happening right in front of them. Cesar's explanations were built around the idea of a natural hierarchy between dogs and humans, and that message connected with millions of people watching at home. The problem was that many experts in animal behavior strongly disagreed.
Unacceptable as a way of training a dog.
Well, obviously, I respectfully disagree with that. It's not a punch, it's a touch. Right?
I watched a video of it. If somebody touched me like that, I would hurt.
Oh.
You went for the throat and you punched the dog back, and the dog then bit you and held onto your hand.
Well, it's a touch. It looks probably to you, but it's a touch.
Having watched quite a lot of boxing matches, it looked to me like something Henry Cooper could have delivered.
Well, obviously, that's not the goal to punch the dog. The goal is just to snap the brain out of it. Right, and so you can then provide energy and body language.
In 2006, Dr. Nicholas Dodman of Tufts University's Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine reportedly told National Geographic that the show had pushed dog training backward by decades. That same year, animal behavior writer Mark Derr criticized Cesar's methods in the New York Times, arguing they conflicted with what many trained specialists had learned about canine behavior. Much of the debate focused on dominance theory, the idea that dogs constantly compete for alpha status and need a dominant leader to keep order. Critics argued that research had already challenged this view. According to those researchers, the wolf studies often used to support the theory were based on captive animals living in artificial settings. Later observations of wild wolf packs suggested leadership was usually tied to family structure, rather than constant dominance battles. As the debate grew louder, organizations such as the American Humane Association also began raising concerns. In 2006, the American Humane Association formally asked National Geographic Channel to remove the show, arguing that some of the training methods shown were inhumane, outdated, and potentially misleading for viewers dealing with difficult dog behavior. The criticism didn't stop there. In 2009, the American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior released a statement warning that dominance-based training approaches could increase fear and aggression instead of solving behavioral issues. While Cesar Millan wasn't named directly, many observers connected the statement to the ongoing debate surrounding his work. The controversy became even more public in 2012 when British TV host Alan Titchmarsh challenged Cesar during an interview. Titchmarsh played footage he claimed showed Cesar striking a dog, while Cesar responded that it was a corrective touch, not a punch. He also faced questions about criticism from the RSPCA, which argued that some methods could create fear and worsen behavior problems. Cesar stood by his approach and pointed to years of hands-on experience with difficult dogs. But the growing criticism kept building pressure. As concerns spread, the controversy became harder for the network to ignore, especially as viewership began to soften. Academic criticism was one challenge. Legal trouble was another level entirely. In 2012, a dog owner filed a legal claim against Cesar Millan, alleging that their dog was injured during an appearance on Dog Whisperer. The details were disputed, but the lawsuit added a new layer of scrutiny. What had been a debate among experts was now attracting attention from lawyers, insurers, and network risk managers. Reports about the show's later years suggested that legal concerns became part of a growing list of issues surrounding the series. Each new controversy added more pressure behind the scenes. An even bigger headline arrived during Cesar 911, the show that followed Dog Whisperer. In one episode, a dog being trained nipped a pig's ear during a filmed session. The incident triggered an animal cruelty investigation in California. No charges were filed, but the investigation itself generated major attention. Even without legal action, the story became another controversy tied to Cesar's television career. As the seasons went on, National Geographic faced a growing problem. Every new episode brought not only ratings, but also fresh controversy and reputational risk. Millions were still watching, but the audience was slowly shrinking, and an even bigger challenge was about to hit the show's central star. For Cesar Millan, the toughest blows didn't come from critics, lawsuits, or television debates. They came from his personal life in 2010, a year that changed everything. In February, Daddy, his longtime pit bull companion, died at age 16.
So Bison, in one of the ceremonies, he said, I didn't want to die, but your dad would have died if I didn't die. So he took my dad's moment to go, because my dad and him got a surgery on the same day.
Fans of the show knew Daddy as the calm, steady dog often used to help nervous or reactive animals during training sessions. He had been by Cesar's side long before television fame and remained a key part of his work for years. Cesar later described the loss as deeply painful. Then, just 4 months later, another major change arrived when his wife, Illusion, filed for divorce. The back-to-back events created one of the most difficult periods of his life. Cesar and Illusion had been married for 16 years and shared 2 sons. When the marriage ended, it shook the foundation of his personal life in a major way. Speaking later about that period, Cesar said, "I went into a big depression. I lost a lot of weight, and I felt that I lost the most important thing, which was my family."
I went to talk to Will Smith because he had a divorce, right? I never had a divorce. I don't come from a divorced family. I wanted the wisdom, right? And I wanted a wisdom from somebody that has achieved money, fame, and power at another level that I have, right? I say, this happened to me, I explained to it. And he goes, how did you start the business? Well, I started from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. Well, there you go. I thought he was going to give me a secret, a formula, something like magical, something, oh my God, Will Smith has all the answers, and I'm going to bypass.
He also described feeling overwhelmed by guilt, failure, and emotional pain. For viewers, the contrast was striking. The man known for promoting calm and confidence was suddenly facing one of the hardest battles of his own life. By his account, he reached an extremely low point emotionally and psychologically. Cesar has publicly stated that he hit an extreme emotional rock bottom during that difficult period and required urgent hospitalization. Afterward, he focused on rebuilding his life through exercise, work, and support rather than medication. Looking back, he said the experience changed him deeply. "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," he told the Tampa Bay Times. He has also said it helped him better recognize signs of depression in both his family and the people around him.
I only had 3 women in my life. We built this relationship of friendship, right?
Right.
Which I didn't do it with the other 2.
That's right, because it was very different, your outlook on women before.
Yeah. It's funny how things happen,
Yeah.
right? And how life, God provides these circumstances of these people in your life. And so the whole point is for you to learn. But you have to be willing to see it that way.
That's the key
You
difference.
have to be willing to be calm, surrender to everything. Nothing is good or bad. It just is, right? And it's kind of hard to surrender to that concept. Nothing is good or bad. No, when it's bad, it hurts. I know, but you learn.
The show continued into 2012, but behind the scenes, many felt it wasn't the same anymore. Years of pressure, controversy, and personal challenges had changed the atmosphere around the series. The official end of Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan came in September 2012 after 9 seasons and 162 episodes. Cesar announced the news on Facebook, thanking fans for supporting the show throughout its long run. The public explanation was brief, but the reality appeared far more complicated. Several issues had been building for years and eventually reached a point where the network had to make a decision. Ratings were no longer as strong as they had once been. While the audience remained sizable, viewership had gradually declined enough to raise questions about the show's future. At the same time, production costs had climbed, making renewal a tougher business decision. The controversy surrounding Cesar's methods also never fully faded. Each season brought new criticism and renewed debate, creating an awkward fit for a network closely associated with science and animal welfare. As that tension grew, the future of the show became harder to justify, and another major factor was also impossible to ignore: the personal toll on Cesar himself. Behind the scenes, Cesar was carrying an enormous personal burden. He was dealing with the aftermath of a highly publicized mental health crisis, a divorce, and the loss of Daddy, the dog who had been a major part of both his life and the show. Those close to the production reportedly felt the difference, even if viewers never saw it on screen. When Dog Whisperer ended, there wasn't one single reason. Ratings had softened, Controversy continued to follow the series, and after 9 seasons, the show may have simply reached its natural conclusion. As pet journalist Steve Dale wrote in 2012, "It's a matter of ratings. People don't watch, and programs go away." But the end of the show didn't end Cesar Millan. Instead, he shifted his focus to new projects. One of the biggest was Cesar Millan Live, a touring stage show where he worked with dogs in front of live audiences. Many of the animals came from shelters, creating unpredictable situations with no editing and no second takes. Cesar returned to television in 2014 with Cesar 911 on Nat Geo Wild, a series focused on dogs with severe behavioral issues that put them at risk of being surrendered by their owners. The show ran for 4 seasons and proved he still had a loyal audience. Outside of television, he kept expanding his reach. His YouTube channel grew past 1 million subscribers, he toured internationally, and he found happiness again with Jahira Dar. In a memorable surprise, he proposed in Athens overlooking the Acropolis after leading her to believe they were traveling to Italy. In 2021, Cesar came full circle and returned to National Geographic with Cesar Millan, Better Human, Better Dog. This time, the spotlight focused even more on the people behind the problems, not just the dogs themselves. So what really ended The Dog Whisperer? Was it declining ratings, years of controversy, criticism from experts, or the personal struggles Cesar faced behind closed doors? The answer may be a mix of all of them. What do you think was the biggest reason the show came to an end? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and comment "dog" if you made it to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more deep dives into the rise and fall of famous TV shows and personalities.